But I started entering a lot of races, did my first Olympic distance that year, which did not go well.
Where did you do that
at? Doncaster.
All right.
Let's just say, we all know the saying, like, nothing new on race day, but my new thing that race day was black coffee. I'd never had coffee in my life.
Wow.
But decided to chug black coffee before I started that day, and let's say I threw the tri-suit away. I'd never used it again.
I was going to say, yes.
It didn't end well that day. So that was a crash course into what not to do.
And that's the voice of today's guest, Ross McGregor, who is the GB age group European Sprint Champion. Seriously impressive achievement, and today we're getting into the story behind that title and how it came about. I've known Ross for over 15 years. We joined the same triathlon club together back in the day, and although I've seen him the odd occasion swimming in the next lane at the local pool, it's been a while since we've actually sat down and spoke. So it was great to catch up, and I was quite impressed by his story. So I hope you are as well, and that's coming up. So it's been a minute. I normally try and get these podcasts out every 2 weeks, and I've been struggling. Over the summer, I don't know what it is, first time in 6 years, I've been struggling to get guests on. So I'm afraid I have to apologise that it's been a bit intermittent. And a big thank you for Ross to get in touch. I didn't even know that he listened to the podcast and asked to come on the pod. And with him being so local, we actually sat down and did it face to face, which was so nice. So I do hope you enjoy his story. On personal front, I'm training now to try and qualify in aquabike, seeing as though my knee is not willing to play ball at the moment. I have, however, secured an MRI scan, which is in the pipeline, to find out once and for all what's going on with it. But until then, I am training on the bike and in the swim to try and get a place at the 2027 World Championships over in Hamburg, Germany. It's a place that I've watched on the TV forever, and I think it's such a fantastic event, fantastic course. As soon as it came on, I wanted to try and be part of it. So this is my last-ditched attempt to do that. So the training's going okay. I'm in week 3 now of that. I'm going to be racing at Hever Castle at the end of September. So fingers crossed. And you can follow, actually, I always forget to mention this, but you can follow my progress and rehabilitation on my YouTube channel, which is also the Age Group Multisport podcast YouTube channel, as well as listening to all these podcasts that are on there as well, because that's what the platform was originally put on there for. So head across there and see what I'm up to. From a sporting viewing point of view, I always like to say what we've been watching. There's not been much cycling on, so that is until this weekend when the Vuelta starts. So looking forward to that. The last big 3-week race. And the main thing that we've been watching is the European Athletics Championships. They've been absolutely amazing, and the Brits have just dominated the sprinting events. And the whole thing, it was a bit slow to start on the Monday and the Tuesday from a crowd perspective, but there's been some absolutely phenomenal racing. And I'm going to name just a few. If you haven't watched them, find them on YouTube, and they really are worth a watch. So there was the ladies 800 metres with Keely Hodgkinson. That was a great race. Unfortunately, she didn't win it. Wero won it. And then there was Jakob Ingebrigtsen's 5k race, and he came from absolutely nowhere and just won it in a sprint. And that was just phenomenal after the season he's had with injury, and I can, sympathise with him on that score. It was just a phenomenal race. And then I guess the athlete of the tournament. I mean, there's been absolutely loads, but I couldn't go into everything. But the athlete of the tournament's got to be Amy Hunt, who finished with 4 gold medals. She won the ladies 100, she won the 200, she won the ladies. She helped win the ladies relay, and then she helped win the mixed relay as well. Just amazing. It was just her time, and it's so nice to see. She predicted she was going to do it, and she actually pulled it off and did it. So again, if you haven't seen any of that, please do have a look on YouTube and catch up, because it is, if you love your sport, it's really worth watching. And the other thing we've been watching is the Sam Laidlaw new documentary about his Challenge Roth win and the Ironman World Champion and the Ironman World Record that he did, which was a really good documentary. It's about 50 minutes long. He always puts a good YouTube video out, and this one's no exception. So yeah, have a watch of that. That's a good one to see. And then we've got a couple of podcast recommendations, and the first one is from Tridot, and it's about training as older athletes. But I found what was interesting, they had 2 coaches on with the presenter, and I found what was interesting was that a lot of this isn't just for older athletes, it's for all ages. It applies to all ages, and they didn't just talk about older athletes. There was a lot of that, but these principles that they were talking about, like good sleep, diet, resting, recovery, training, they apply to all ages. So it was really, really good. 2 really knowledgeable coaches, and really well worth a listen. And then the second one, I'm halfway through, and it's from the Rich Roll podcast. And it's the young Norwegian who blew up on social media after his race at the Olympic Games, and excuse me for the pronunciation, but his name is Johannes Klæbo, and he's the Norwegian cross-country skier, 11 times Olympic gold medalist. And he's the guy who you'll have probably seen the Instagram reels of him going like the clappers up the hill faster than most people can run on these skis. And it just blew up. So yeah, really interesting. Like I say, I've not finished it yet, but a really interesting podcast. Well worth a listen. Even if you're not into skiing, I mean, I know nothing about it, but listening to his story, it's quite inspiring. So those are the 2 recommendations. That's what we've been watching on the telly. That's how my training's going. I think that's about it. So it's time for the main event. And it was a pleasure to catch up with Ross, and I hope you enjoy your story. So we shall, as always, see you on the other side.
Yep, I'm Ross McGregor from Louth in Lincolnshire, 39 years old, dad of 2, married, boring day job, and a pretty serious side hustle in triathlon.
Cool. And what is your job? Because I knew you were working for Siemens at one point. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm a quantity surveyor.
My brother was a quantity surveyor.
Yeah, so I mean, anyone who lays bricks or does a manual job on construction sites will call me say I count bricks basically. Yeah. But there's a little more to it than that. Yeah. It's financial management of construction really. Yeah. It's
do you enjoy it?
Do you know what? As a kid, as sad as it is, my favourite subject at school was maths.
Right. Perfect then.
Yeah, and you know what? With maths, it's right or it's wrong. There's no beating around the bush. You don't have to waffle on for pages on end. So I've ended up in a pretty solid career, I think, for my interests, my academic interests.
It's great for life, isn't it?
It is good, yeah. And my oldest daughter seems to be going down a similar route. Actually, she's well into maths and seems to enjoy it. And I think she's of the same ilk that it's either right or it's wrong. And
how old are your kids now?
6 and 3, right. Soon to be 7 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Two girls.
Yeah, unfortunately, mate. Yeah.
I don't envy you that.
Yeah, I think I hear from a lot of people they're harder than boys. No. I wouldn't know. No. I have got two boys as nephews, but they seem pretty hard to control every now and again.
It doesn't matter. The kids are kids, aren't they?
I think control's the key word there. I don't think none of us are in control, are we? Yeah. No.
So, tell us a little bit about your background as a kid growing up. What sport did you get into?
Right. So, background as a kid. My dad is Australian. Was a professional motorcycle racer, a pretty good one.
What type of motorcycle racing?
Road racing.
Road racing.
Yeah, so he came over to Europe for racing purposes. Raced in some Grand Prix and raced at the Ironman TT. Actually, was one of the first people, believe it or not, to win 2 TT races in one day.
Wow.
So he was pretty successful. Yeah. Through that, he met my uncle on my mother's side, who some local people may know as Neil Tuxworth, who managed Honda Racing, who are based in Louth.
I know the name, yeah.
He managed that team for a long time. Obviously, his sister, my mum, they met. My dad and my mum met through racing. Had me, and naturally, that's kind of where my family. You're either a farmer or you're a motorbike rider. That's how it goes.
Right.
My mum's side are farmers based locally, and I was never really interested in tractors and all that malarkey. So yeah, started riding motorbikes from 4 years old. Naturally, sort of progressed into racing. I started racing at 9.
Same things, road bikes?
No, never. Do you know what? Never road bikes.
Did you not?
No, off-road, so motocross bikes.
Okay. Why was that then? Why did you not?
I think there's probably a bit of a stigma about it. You know, it being dangerous, and you know, I can distinctly remember once being at home and picking up a metal rod, sort of like this sort of length, sort of nearly 12 inches long, out of a drawer, and saying, "Dad, what's that?" And he said, "Oh, that's what they put my femur back together with." And for some reason he'd kept the metal rod that was in his leg. So I was surrounded by this sort of atmosphere or this knowledge that road racing was dangerous, so don't do that. As it happens, motocross is just as dangerous. And I kind of went down the path. My uncle was he used to do this thing called sand racing. So racing around in circles on a local beach. Anyone who's from
bit like Speedway, but not.
Very similar to Speedway, yeah. And so that's what I got into, and naturally, me being me, just like went head over heels with the whole thing, took it way too seriously for 15 years, and then kind of got fed up with it, really. Yeah. So like 24 came, I got to 24, and I'd had enough of it. I totally had enough, and it sort of coincided with finding triathlon as well at the same time.
Yeah. So what were you? How were you? It was just on the beaches and sand racing, was it mainly that you did?
Mainly, yeah.
And was that national level that you were in? Was it? Because I know nothing about that other than they sometimes do it.
Well, this was half the problem.
Up the coast.
It's, and again, this has kind of been a theme for me, sporting wise. You know, I wasn't a footballer. You know, I was naff at football. You know, I played a little bit of cricket, but I was a little bit of rugby. But really, team sports were never my thing. And sport, the sort of mainstream sports, just I could never get on with them. Like, just not really interested. So I always had this thing of like ending up in a niche sport. And believe it or not, riding around in circles on a beach in Mablethorpe in winter, it's a winter sport,
right,
is not a very popular thing. There's no other championships. There is no national level. You sort of,
okay.
People come from around the country to Mablethorpe, or they did in the day, to do it. You know, because it's such a weird and wonderful thing. Not many people do it. And so that was kind of like after 15 years, and I'd, dare I say, I'd got myself to a pretty good level, and it was just going nowhere. There was no more progression. Yeah. And that's when, you find something new, sort of catches your eye, and, there's so much to learn, and I just kind of wandered away from it and thought, I've had enough of this. Yeah. It was getting a bit political, because I took it so seriously. People then took me so seriously. Yeah. So there was little enjoyment at that point.
Yeah, when you get to that level and that focus that you want to do as the best you can. Yeah, it can drain you, can't it? I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it was a real passion of mine, and I honestly thought I would ride motorbikes, till the day I died, and I haven't touched one since that last.
Have you not? I was just going to ask you, have you got a motorbike now?
No, not interested. No, just it's
funny, isn't it?
It's another life, really.
Yeah,
I just kind of walked away from.
I've like you. We had a stigma at home that I couldn't learn to ride a motorbike or have a motorbike while I was living at home with my parents, because they were just like, that was it. No, you're not doing it. So anyway, as it goes, you leave home and you settle down and you get a motorbike. So I've had like motorbikes throughout my life, and I had this itch to get a Harley Davidson, which I did, and it was a beautiful looking bike, but it was a kickstart.
Oh god!
Oh, and it was like,
no wonder you've got a dicky knee.
That's the other leg. Other leg. Fortunately, I can't blame it on that. And it was such a lovely looking bike, and when it was working, it was a nice bike to ride. It was an old one, and I got rid of it in the end. And I'd scratched the itch, and I'm the same as you. I've never touched a bike since. Yeah. Not interested in them. I've had a Fireblade. I've had all sorts, but just. Yeah, so I can appreciate that. You just get past it, don't you?
And that's I think it is kind of like that. The longer you then leave it, well, same with anything in life really, the less likely you are to pick it up. I mean, I think about it now. 2 kids. Yeah. And I think if I were to jump on one of those, I'd hurt myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was part of the reason why I used to take it so seriously. Yeah. Because you can get hurt. Yeah. If you're not concentrating, it can go really wrong. Yeah. So yeah.
Amazing. So then you found triathlon. How did that come about?
So you may be familiar with a charity called the Wings for Life Foundation.
Yeah, I have heard of it. Yeah.
Closely connected to Red Bull and Formula One.
Yeah.
I was doing a bit of sort of like. Bit of odd jobbing really for the race team, because obviously my uncle ran it and I was really interested in bikes at the time, so I'd go away to weekends here and there and help out in the paddock. Nothing serious, not working on engines or chassis or anything, but I could handle a set of spanners, and I could cart tyres to and from to get them changed at the wheel tent or whatever. And unfortunately, I was helping out for a young lad at the time called Chris Jones, who was part of the Red Bull 125cc team that they ran out of Louth. And we were working at Cadwell Park, and he was involved in an accident on the start line there, and unfortunately, it was fatal. And so I just felt a bit lost with motorbikes generally at that time, and.
How old were you then, Ross?
I would have been. Well, I'd been 24.
24.
Yeah,
it would have been a massive shock, wouldn't it? That.
Yeah, and Chris at the time, I may be wrong, but I think he was 14 or 15 years old. Obviously, we'd been in and around. His family. His sister, his mum and dad were, avid supporters. Were always there with him, and to see it happen, and especially locally at Cadwell Park, which is just up the road from us, was not a nice thing, and. Kind of, I don't know what was going on with me at the time, but I had this urge that I wanted to raise some money for a charity. The Wings for Life Foundation was closely connected with Motorsport, and I thought, oh well, there's a charity, I'll do it for that. And it just so happened that at the time there was a local triathlon series, the Midlands Sprint Series, run by One Step Beyond, and the first race in that series was in Lincoln, which is about as close to triathlon got at that time, to Louth. And so just thought, that's it, I'm going to go do that. Sounds difficult, raise some money for a charity, and that was the plan.
So had you heard of triathlon before?
Not at that point.
Yeah. So
no, it just sounded like something that was quite difficult. And this is around when I'm making this decision, this is the back end of 2012.
Yeah.
So I'm a product of the Brownlee effect, but not directly. I found it in a weird sort of way, and then naturally, as you get more and more hooked and more interested, you then start to go back through the history, and you start to see how it all came about, really. But at that time, it was just the plan to just do one, raise a bit of money, and that was it. There was no plan, really.
One and done.
But that's it. Yeah. And the minute that one was done, so was motorbikes for me.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Completely finished. I'm going to do this now. Like I said, it'd start with motorbikes, and especially locally, it started to get a little bit too serious. And one thing I loved about triathlon, like no politics, no bullshit, no excuses really. Like you're under your own steam. No one can say, well, you got a faster bike than me, and that's why you won. Or at that time, they couldn't.
Yes,
anyway.
yeah.
It might be a bit different now. It was, whatever you put in, you could get back out of it, and I loved that idea really.
Yeah.
And so I ended up that year, which was 2013. I did that series, all three of the races, which were all fairly locally.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it, and by total chance, really, and lack of competition, I ended up finishing second in that series, and thought to myself, maybe I could be all right at this.
Yeah. And how much training had you done beforehand? I
was so green to it.
Yeah.
My wife actually bought me my bike because I didn't have a bike to train on or anything, and she bought me a bike for Christmas. Now that first race was in April, so that gives you an idea. Yeah. I'd never ridden a bicycle before, with drops and clipping in and all that. One of my best mates at the time, he had a mountain bike that he said, come out with me for a bit of a ride or whatever, and I was so green. But just so happened, it just coincided. It's funny how these things, when you look back, how they just happen at the right time. But the Louth Triathlon Club was just starting as well.
Yeah.
And ended up meeting, John Sharp.
Yeah.
Simon Sharp, not related. But ended up seeing those two in the swimming pool one day. While I was thinking, I better get my act together and learn how to swim properly. And they were just in the lane next to me. Started, as John is, lovely fella, started chatting to me. So you ought to be a member. So my claim to fame is my member number at Louth Tri is 007.
Is it?
Yeah, I was the 7th member. Yeah. And so that's where you kind of get, all of a sudden the horizon started to broaden, and not that any of us really knew what we were doing.
Well, no, it was just created, wasn't it? Yeah. I remember going on. It was a triathlon open weekend course, and Doug Elk was running it, and he did a couple. And I went in the first one, and they were trying to get the club in the leisure centre, but nobody on that course was interested in starting it up. The second one, however, he did. That's when Sharpie and I think Jill and John Sharp sort of got together and said, "Yeah, we'll see if we can start something up." So yeah, I think that's. And at the time, I was in the athletics club, and Steve Hunt from the athletics club got involved. And he said, come along to they were having an open day, I suppose, to see what it was all about. So me and Mrs. C jogged along, and that was it.
They were the days. It was quite the crowd. Those first few years, it was...
it was a big old club, wasn't it, for such a small...
Yeah.
And still going strong. I mean, if you think the likes of Boston's shut, hasn't it closed down?
Has it really? Is Boston stopped?
Yeah, it stopped.
That's a shame, because they kind of started similar to how Louth did. Once they got going, they went with a bang, didn't they?
They were a big club. And
they were doing a lot for their juniors as well. That's a real shame. That and they had really nice kit as well. I always remember it was
the red kit.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
But I mean, at that time, I'm not sure. And Boston didn't exist. I'm not sure if Grimsby and Skeg did. But
Grimsby did, because Karen Hames and Tracy Wilkinson came from there. Yeah. So they were around quite a while.
They were good times, and we grew fast, didn't we? Yeah. We were all learning,
Oh yeah, still learning.
Well, still learning. Yeah, definitely still learning.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was any, other than probably the ones that were already in Grimsby, that had any experience whatsoever.
No.
We all just learned together.
A big reason behind the sort of putting these open days on. It wasn't just for to gain members; it was to gain knowledge, experience, and people who were willing to help out and be a part of the sort of admin side of the club as well. So
down here that you actually, because I thought Chicago was your first race, but you actually, and I'm jumping ahead a bit here, but 2014, which probably was only the year after.
That was the following year,
that you got to Edmonton
That's right, yeah.
So we're pretty new in at 2013 where we're all just like learning. How did you find out about age group? Because we didn't know anything about that. I mean, I didn't start till 2017. Obviously, John Sharp told me every time I met him that he'd been to Chicago racing. But other than that,
me being me, I got well into it. Like I said, like I'd sold all the motorbike kit.
Yeah.
I'd got an aluminium framed road bike at the time. Like I said, I'd done all right in that series there, and thought, maybe I can do all right at this, and naturally start. Well, reading primarily was what I was doing. I was getting books, second-hand books, buying them off the internet, and like Joe Friel's training Bible, and I was coming across all these things like training with heart rate. Oh, you can try this, and power meters weren't a thing then. They weren't available to the masses. It was heart rate was like almost groundbreaking at that time, and that's what was a lot of people were using for their training, and so very quickly started to learn these little things. And I was, in all honesty, I found out about age group from being on the British Triathlon website.
Right. How did you find out about British Triathlon was a thing?
I think probably just banners at races, to be honest, and knowing or understanding. Coming from a background of motorcycle racing, you've generally got an overarching body that you need a race license for or from, so I understood that world a little bit. And I think probably subconsciously, coming from the motorbike side of it, like I said, where there was no structure or ladder to climb, I was probably like hankering for a bit of that. Yeah. And seeing, how does this progress?
Where can you go, basically? Because how old would you have been then? 20?
24.
24?
Yeah, it's 24.
Yeah.
And so I found out about this weird and wonderful world of sort of representing your country still sounds like a cool thing to do.
Yeah, it still is a cool thing to do, isn't it?
And
still try to do it all these years later.
Starting to learn about how you've got to go to these qualification races and all this, and just thinking, I want a bit of that. And at that point, I thought, this is something I can really get stuck into here. And you sort of sell yourself a dream. I think I'm still selling myself that dream of you could travel around a bit here and see a bit of the world and go and race other people from other countries. And I threw myself in. First try for qualification was at Nottingham Home Pierpont, pretty close. I got a dubious, and I'm positive to say it was a dubious drafting penalty during that race. I'm still not happy about it all these years later. It's
you got to let it go.
It's the only drafting penalty on my record, and I'm not happy about it. So I ended up with a 2-minute penalty, and thought, that's it.
Was that a standard race then? Or?
A sprint distance, but it was non-drafting.
Right. Okay.
So there was, at this point, we'll come on to that.
Yeah.
Age group racing at that time was not draft legal.
That's right.
That was a massive red flag. Like, people would not let us do that because they thought it would be dangerous. And I understand to a certain extent, but that was at the time the main difference between amateur racing and elite racing was draft legal. And I got this drafting penalty, 2-minute penalty, and thought, I've not qualified, and I was in tears at the end of it. Because I crossed the line in a qualifying position. I think I finished 4th that day, and that was enough to qualify. And then I found out about the drafting penalty afterwards. So I'd gone from like elation to heartbreak in the space of literally 10 seconds. And Paul Fowler.
Yes.
It was Paul who actually sort of came over and said, I think you maybe ought to go and look at the penalty board, mate. And I was destroyed. Yeah, really unhappy. But just by total chance and how it works, I got a roll down slot.
Well, I was going to say it wasn't all lost, was it? Because if you got that, even 2 minutes.
And maybe in hindsight
Did you know about the roll downs as well, or not?
Not really at that point. In my head, I needed to finish in
top
4. Yeah, I needed to finish in the top 4.
Yeah.
And I think in the back of my mind that having got that penalty probably taught me a lot, and it was probably a good time for it to happen from the off. That basically don't be a pack rat.
Yeah.
You came here to ride your own race. Make sure you do that. If you're behind someone.
Which is very difficult at that circuit anyway, isn't it? Let's face it, because it's just an oval round a lake, and we all know how hard that can be.
It's not really built for triathlon, but it's still one of my favourite. I never have good races there, but it's still one of my favourite venues to go to, and for spectating, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
Where else can you go and watch a sprint triathlon and as a spectator see every minute of everything? Yeah, it's great venue, and I hope it stays on the calendar. So that led into qualification for Edmonton in 2014. So I thought I'd better get my act together and get a TT bike. I thought I'll go and do the local Midlands series again. Started probably racing a little too frequently. In a perfect world, I'd have probably raced less, but at the same time, I'm still learning every time I go and race. So, toss a coin, which way would have been better. But I started entering a lot of races, did my first Olympic distance that year, which did not go well.
Where did you do that
at? Doncaster.
All right.
Let's just say, we all know the saying, like, nothing new on race day, but my new thing that race day was black coffee. I'd never had coffee in my life.
Wow.
But decided to chug black coffee before I started that day, and let's say I threw the tri-suit away. I'd never used it again.
I was going to say, yes.
It didn't end well that day. So that was a crash course into what not to do.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I started working with a chap called Nick Dunn, who you've also had on here, and Nick started preparing me, shall we say. That was probably the next 4 years. Nick sort of looked after me in terms of my training and sort of coaching, and really was a big sort of influence on my development in the sport. And at that point, Nick had already won both of his age group world championships, one sprint, one standard. So obviously I looked up a lot to him. I listened to everything he said. And I would regularly just rinse myself on repeat on his sort of training program. And he was very influential in my sort of attitude and preparation and training ethos in those early days. I went to Edmonton, and honestly, I thought that was it. I was going to be world champion. I thought that was it. I had it sorted. I had it made. I knew absolutely nothing really in hindsight. And
that's youth, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Is youth.
That's just exuberance, and I've got this.
I think one thing I'd sort of failed to take into consideration, and it wasn't just him, but in that qualification race, there's a chap called Ed Castro, who just decided to start doing triathlon at the time, and he won that qualification race at Nottingham. And I thought, as you do, looking through the race results and thinking, I can outrun this lad. But he seems to be a bit of a fish in the water, having not really appreciated who Ed Castro was at the time. And obviously Ed went on to win God knows how many world championships and European championships after that. His first of which, I believe, was in Edmonton that year. And anyway, we got to Edmonton. I thought that was it. I was, no flies on me. And to be fair, I had the swim of my life. I was still down out of the water, but I swam very well for me. Rode up to 5th on the bike, and then I just absolutely obliterated on the run. Just popped and went backwards and backwards and backwards, and I faded really badly and ended up finishing 12th that day. Which, at the time I was distraught with. I thought, well, that was just a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of effort. And then it was not, it was less than 24 hours. The next morning I thought, I'll never be that athlete again. Like, I'll never race like that. I'm never racing backwards again. I will always race forwards. And that next morning I went trail running in Edmonton. I was like, my run is where I'm getting hurt, so that's it. I need to get better at running. And that next day, just out there running. Yeah. And again, they're stupid ideas. What was I thinking? I needed to recover and enjoy Canada. First time I'd ever been there. And instead I'm out there running around in circles thinking, this is what I need to do.
This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Instant. I'm going to get better instantly. Or
that was
put the hard work in and I'm going to get straight away.
Yeah. Got home from that. Next week was the first ever Louth Triathlon. Went there and raced that, for a bit of a laugh, but also to sort of prove to myself that you can run. You're all right. You know what you're doing. You just need to be a bit more sensible with how you play your cards. And I won that, which I was really proud to do, because I felt like I'd actually winning that Louth triathlon was probably, I was more proud of that than I was my performance representing my country for the first time.
Yeah.
Because it's in and around people you know.
Yeah.
At that point, no one knows what triathlon is really in Louth. I can distinctly remember on the run, running down Newmarket in a tri-suit, soaking wet, and I saw one of my mates who I used to be at, like down the pub with, and he's sort of looking at me from across the road, and I can just tell he's thinking, "What on earth are you doing?" Yeah. And it's just this weird thing. I mean, it still is.
Still is
a bit weird.
We go out with friends, and they have no, they know what we do, but they have no clue.
Yeah.
But we're in this bubble, aren't we? And I say this all the time. We're in this bubble where everyone we've got, apart from the odd other friends, but most of our friends we've known for years, and they all do what we do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And people, I would love to be a fly on the wall from somebody who has like no idea what we do, what they think.
Yeah.
That fascinates me. That does.
If you see a triathlete in the wild, it's a rare old sight, isn't it? If you're not used to it, and if you don't know what's going on. You think about like the old aero helmets and stuff. People would be out there, no socks on a bike, and we're weird creatures, aren't we? Let's be honest. Let's
there's something not right, isn't there? Yeah, there's something not right.
So from there, it's funny you say about John Sharp and Chicago, because Chicago was the following year, and it just so happened that my performance in Edmonton meant I'd pre-qualified.
Yeah, because you get was it top 3 then? Top 3 Brit.
Yeah, I think if you were
qualification.
Top 3 Brit, you would qualify. And so I did pre-qualify, and again at that point I think I've been to Canada for the first time in my life. Great. I'd never been to America either, so I thought take the opportunity while I can.
It's such a great thing for that, isn't it? I mean, we now decide whether we want to go to a race or try and qualify. If we want to go on holiday and spend a week there, or if we've never been before, it takes you all over, like you said.
And they were the glory years for me. Those early years, because I was doing a lot more travelling. Nowadays, I won't travel anywhere near as far because generally the family don't come with me. So I try and cherry pick things.
Got to balance it
closer.
It's a balance.
2015, the tides were starting to turn there because it was the first ever age group draft legal race in the UK in 2015 at Mallory Park, and I thought, well, I want to be a part of that. I already knew at that point quite quickly that I liked sprint distance. People around me were like, going up the distances, and all right, I had that dodgy day at that first Olympic distance I did, which probably put me off a bit, but sprint was like a real, for me, and still now, a non-drafting, pool-based even, I would say, non-drafting, pool-based sprint triathlon is about as pure and about as sort of relatable as it gets. The more scientific we get in the sport, we generally find out that there's like one sort of metric that determines performance. And generally we're talking about LT2, aren't we? We're talking about a lactate threshold.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, that coincides with what duration? Roughly an hour. And so for someone to just be on the rivet for an hour, I find just magical.
Yeah.
It's we have the hour record in cycling. It's that perfect amount of time where you can just punish yourself and other people. And in terms of the distances as well, they're the most relatable to every day. Park run's one of the biggest things in the UK. What distance is it?
Yeah, it's 5K, isn't it?
Yeah,
of course.
Sorry, I've gone off on a tangent here.
Well, we said this could go anywhere, so that's absolutely fine.
And so I went and did that first draft legal race and thought, I like this, and I could sort of see that draft legal was where it was going to go. So 2015 was non-drafting in Chicago, but it was the last one. Since then, all sprint world championships have been draft legal. But I went into Chicago like I was ready to run. Like I was a runner, and in hindsight, I wish I'd been a little more spread my time a bit more even, because I'd lost a lot of weight. I got caught up in I need to run fast, and what I didn't really factor is that, like, I swam horribly, and my bike was just average, and then I had a good run. So I did live up to the promise I made myself. I was racing forwards, but I was racing forwards from a long way back. Yeah, and now I started to realise, this is a problem. I need to become more balanced. I can't just be all in on.
Had you, when you lost weight, had you lost power as well on the bike?
Big time. Yeah. And weight's a touchy subject for people in and around endurance sport nowadays, and I think a lot of people are scared to address it. But I'll openly talk about weight. It's nothing to be scared of. But I was getting to a point that year where I was making unhealthy choices, and I'd be the first to say it in hindsight. And so that was a big sort of eye opener for me. That you've got to learn your lessons, and I definitely did that. And thought it also opened my eyes that swimming was a real limiter for me. Obviously, I was like an adult onset swimmer. I had no swimming background. Like I've said, I had no endurance background. And realised that I needed to be a better swimmer, because all of a sudden it's going to be draft legal racing, and I'm watching it on the telly and I'm thinking, well, no one gets out 2 minutes down out of the water and does well here. It's only going to end badly. So that was my takeaway in 2015. And I know what you're thinking. The next day I wasn't in the swimming pool trying to get better. I recovered well, let's say. In Chicago I ate everything in sight and probably put on about 10 kilos before I left. So I enjoyed the rest and recovery that time.
And did you enjoy, the last two the two we've discussed, did you enjoy the events, and did you enjoy obviously you must have done, because you've gone back and done it.
Edmonton, for me, I went and did everything. I went and did the Parade of Nations, and I listened to Nick Dunn's episode he did with you, and it was funny hearing him say the same thing. Your first one, you go and you soak it all up, and that's really important. You should go and do that, and you should walk around with a Union Jack on your chest, and you should be proud, and go and do everything. But it's detrimental to performance. In the long run, it's not how you get the best out of yourself.
Well, you're expending energy, aren't you, to all that, and it's energy you need to save for the race. Do all that afterwards. That's the thing, isn't it?
If what you're looking for is your peak athletic performance.
Well, everybody wants to do the best, I think. The best you can be on that day. That's what you want. Otherwise, what's the point of going?
Sure. And I met. That was back in the days as well, where they'd do room shares.
Right.
So if you booked through Nirvana was still a thing back then. You could get a bit of a cheaper deal if you agreed to room share.
Yeah.
And so I knocked on the door in Edmonton of my hotel room. I didn't know who was on the other side of that door. I knew it was a mate.
That was an experience.
And but friends for life.
Yeah.
Matt was my roommate, Matt Smith, and although he's not in the triathlon space anymore, I still speak to Matt quite regularly. And another guy I met on that trip. I make a joke. I was sat in the airport waiting to get on the plane, and just this random southern guy came up to me, bold as brass, and started talking. And he hasn't shut his mouth since. And I still. This is Phil Patterson. His name is. We still speak regularly. He's got a daughter. If ever, he's got family in the Lincoln area. So if ever he's up from London, we try and meet up when we can. But like I say, friends for life. Those two lads, we've been to each other's weddings. We've had some good times, and that's really, they're the memories I take out of that. Yeah, sure, I faded on the run and finished 12th, but
but they're different, aren't they? Because you've got those memories for me, and then you've got the race memories.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the race memories you dwell on. I mean, what were we watching? Oh, it was the Sam Laidlaw documentary last night. He just broke the world record in Ironman, and yet, retrospectively, he's like, oh, but I think I could have gone faster.
Yeah.
And I said to Kate, we're all the same. Yeah. Even he's like that. We
Absolutely.
Always, it doesn't matter how well we do, we pull it to bits and we try and work out what we could have done better.
Yeah. Did I enjoy them both? Yeah, absolutely, unequivocally. I've enjoyed every time I've been to an international championships. I've enjoyed it because I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Even just being there is a huge achievement, and even now, after having done it quite a few times, I'm still proud to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might not go to the opening ceremony every time.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we're the same. When we turn up, we don't very rarely get involved in that side of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, from Chicago, I was lucky enough to pre-qualify again for the following year, which was Cozumel in Mexico. So I thought, all right, well, I'm spending a lot of time.
You've ticked all the boxes, haven't you?
In the Americas here, yeah. I'd never been to Mexico either. So I thought, right, that's it. I'll go to Mexico. And that was 2016 was a really, really sort of good year in a lot of ways, and a really like bad year in others. One of the main things you asked me about Blenheim Palace earlier. There was an opportunity, again, just through sort of research. I was so into it. I'd read anything and everything that I could get my hands on. In fact, started to read about elite racing in the UK, and started to wonder. I wonder what it takes to be able to do this, and is that possible? Thinking about the future, and it turned out that I didn't have to wait for the future. I applied with some race results and got my first elite start at the British Elite Championships, which were in Blenheim. And so I remember being
was that sprint distance still, yeah?
Sprint distance, yeah. And so I was buzzing, but also really sort of a bit anxious and a bit nervous. And I think it got to about sort of Wednesday on race week, and British Triathlon puts this sort of social media post out that they've had a last minute entry for Blenheim, and Alistair Brownlee was racing.
And how did that work then? From like a perspective, like age group, we've got to be within a percentage, right?
Yeah.
So how did that work for you guys?
I mean, it was very much in those days. There wasn't really a performance standard or a performance criteria. Right. It was very much submit your CV sometimes, and we'll decide if you're worth a shot, basically. Nowadays, if I was at that level performance wise, there's no way anyone would have let me on that start line. Yeah. I didn't deserve to be there in any stretch, but my kind of ethos had always been, race faster people get faster. Yeah. I didn't want to be in a position where I wasn't learning, and that I learned a lot of lessons that day.
You learnt about levels.
Absolutely. But at the same time, I started to realise, what a sport and what an opportunity that is. For me, Alistair Brownlee at the time, in 2016, he'd won one Olympics. It was in an Olympic year, and I'm trying to get across to people. It's like this is like them letting you on the start line with Usain Bolt in an Olympic year, in a professional race. Yeah. It just doesn't happen in other sports. No. And I was like enamoured with this opportunity. I thought, well, I'm going to take it. And then all of a sudden it turned into more excitement than anything. I thought, right, this is going to be a great day no matter what. You can
always now, no matter what happened or what goes on in the future, you can also say, I raced Alistair Brownlee. Raced is a... Well, yeah, you did.
I got whooped by Alistair Brownlee.
You raced him. How many other people can say that? I didn't even know this.
It was a great day, and do you know what? To his credit, I'm sure there was a bit of because Gordon Benson came with him that day, and I'm sure there was an element of preparation for Rio. This was Blenheim generally is like first week in June, and I believe Olympic time. What is it, July?
Round about that, yeah.
So we're talking like a month, maybe 6 weeks before his second Olympic Games, and he's out in Blenheim, racing. Not racing me, but we're in the same race, And he stuck around afterwards, photos, had a chat. Both him and Gordon Benson. I've still got the photo, which again I'm really proud of. It was a good day out, and I learnt a lot. And so that was I was sort of riding that high into Mexico, thinking, there aren't many people I'm going to line up with, if any, that I'm going to line up with in Mexico that have raced an elite race. And I'm thinking, I probably didn't appreciate that. Yeah, you might have raced an elite race.
Yes,
but does that make you good enough? Did you deserve to be there? And Cozumel was hot. Everyone I think remembers the Brownlee episode of Johnny nearly passing out. Yeah. well, what Johnny did on Saturday morning, I ended up doing on the Thursday afternoon previous.
Right.
I woke up in the medical tent.
Did you?
On a drip, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd managed to get across the line, but I can't remember like the last kilometre of the run.
That's scary, isn't it?
It was brutal conditions. The sea temperature, because it was a non-wetsuit swim, thank God, but the sea temperature was over 30 degrees Celsius. Humidity was through the roof. Air temp was like, we're talking like mid to high 30s. And we were in the middle of the day by the time we were running. And I remember, I didn't know about heat as being such a limiter that it was at the time. But I remember thinking, I can't make myself... I'd never been in a position where I couldn't make myself go harder or go faster. And I just couldn't. Like, it wouldn't work. It was a disconnect.
Well, we've seen it recently, haven't we? When the ladies were over in Kona last year. And they just... Well... Taylor Nibb, she just like sat on the floor. She didn't know where she was or anything, and that's the heat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're right. I think Johnny Brownlee, after it happened to him, I think still for a lot of years afterwards, heat wasn't talked about. It wasn't a thing. I think it's only recently, the last few years, that actually people have started doing heat training and haven't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cozumel's where I learnt my lessons with regards to heat, but I didn't know how to fix them.
Yeah.
So I came away from Cozumel. I finished 14th in the end, and I was gutted because I'd been on a bit of a upward trajectory. I'd gone 12th in Edmonton, 10th in Chicago, and then to drop to 14th in Cozumel, I was really gutted. And I sort of came away with this narrative that the heat wasn't good for me, so I'm just not going to race I'm not going to race in hot countries. I'm not going to go.
But I think that's where it was, wasn't it? That's because we didn't know how to train.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd never even considered heat acclimation or heat protocols or training at that time, and it was a while before I would pick that up. So although I did learn the lesson that heat wasn't good for me and I needed to prepare for it, I just didn't have the tools to be able to prepare for it. I didn't understand it. And so back end of 2016, I thought I'm gonna give it one more crack, really, because I pre-qualified for Rotterdam. The following
again from Cozumel.
I still managed to scrape a PQ. And I thought, do you know what? One more crack at the whip. I got married end of 2016, and it was getting to a point where you going around the world here. America, Canada, Mexico. Rotterdam was nearer. Yeah, it was going to be cooler. I thought, this is my time, really. I can take everything I've learned, and this is it. I'm all in now. I started. I farming my swimming out, for want of a better phrase, to Paul Fowler through our club. But I started to think, I've got to make this leap with swimming. I've got to, and I ended up swimming that year. There were a lot of weeks I'd swim 4 or 5 times a week, and I was swimming like 3k minimum. Yeah, like I was becoming a swimmer. Yeah, and I ended up going for it's still my 400 meter PB. I swam 4:51 not from a dive, from a push. Not in any sort of race suit or anything. In a pair of neck speedos, like. And I remember thinking, right, my swimming it's where it needs to be. Yes, yeah. But that took a lot of work, and I think probably what I'd not completely factored is that, I can swim in a pool, in a 25 metre, short course pool. I'd not really worked out that puzzle of open water swimming yet, and I wasn't doing a lot of specifics in the open water, and that really burned me in the end. When I went to Rotterdam, because I had a horrible swim, like an appalling swim, and that was the sort of undoing of me, really. Before I went, I got another elite opportunity, but in duathlon, right? And I thought, well, I'll chuck myself in the mix for that. If these opportunities keep coming up, I'll take
Why
them.
would you not?
If no one else will be cannon fodder, I will. Yeah. Like, because I'm happy to go and learn.
But like you just said, it's all experience, isn't it? You're learning from those opportunities.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of people that thought, well, I'm not going to go and get embarrassed by elite racing.
You can look at everything in life different ways, can't you? You know, you're right. Some people might have thought that. Obviously, you didn't. So
I've always been of the ilk that, you know, if you're going to get beaten that badly, you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
So chuck yourself in and have a go. And I went and did Elite Duathlon Champs, and I swore that day I'd never do another duathlon. And do you know what? For a long time I didn't. I thought that is the most disgusting thing. To start with, we started with a 5k.
Yeah.
And I thought, nah, that's not my bag. No way. As bad as I am at swimming, you know, I'm not starting with a run again.
It's harder, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. And then that year we'd had the sort of creation of what was the Lincolnshire Triathlon Series. So I ended up doing some local races, and I ended up winning that. So I was really pleased with that. Yeah. Also got my first British Champs medal. Went up to Scotland and ended up running myself onto the podium there, which was a great feeling. So I got a bronze medal, which was my first one. So I was really proud of that. But then went to Rotterdam, and like I said, I thought, now this is my time. You know, I thought, you know, I would gone to Edmonton thinking, you know, I'm going to win this, and I was too green. This time I thought, no, I'm prepared. I'm there. Like I said, I had a dreadful swim. I did bike really well. And you know, funnily enough, a couple of lads in the bike pack with me that day, who I still speak to now, because we were drilling it, like really, really drilling.
And it's such a great feeling, isn't it, when you've got a group together, you're riding, and
3 Brits as well, like all together in a group. And you know, we were surrounded by some lads who weren't necessarily willing to work or weren't able to work, but we were on it that day, and I've got some photos of that day, and it was a cracking bike ride. And I ended up running really well. I was in a 3-way sprint finish for 7th, but I came out worst and finished 9th. But I'd spent the entire 5k catching those 2 lads up, 2 Brits as well.
Took its toll.
Yeah, 3 Brits, and I missed out. Yeah. In doing that, I also didn't PQ. Like I said, there was us 3 Brits, and I was 3rd, and there was another Brit ahead of us. So I didn't PQ. The next year's Worlds were in Australia, and I was like, no, too hot for me. Whilst it would have been lovely to go to Australia. Obviously, I'm half Australian.
It was a great... I was there. That was my first Worlds.
Yeah.
It was a great event. Gold Coast.
Yeah, I wish...
Amazing.
I wish I'd have known then what I know now in terms of being able to prepare and being able to have the confidence that I can deliver in those conditions. But I was scared of it. I didn't want to hurt myself.
And to be honest, it wasn't that hot. You know.
Oh, thanks, Richard. That was kind of the end of my what I would call that, like, I look at my age group racing in kind of like 2 halves, and that was the end of like my first half.
Yeah.
And at that point, I thought, you know, maybe I've done this now. Maybe I'm over it. And I was getting a little disenchanted with thinking. I couldn't stop believing in myself, but every time I believed more in myself, it was like something else had come unstuck. Yeah. So I thought, I'll go and have a crack at 70.3s.
Right.
And so 2018, 2019, I went and raced some 70.3s and knee issues, really, niggles, and I wasn't
training running, or
running. I wasn't training smart enough. I wasn't nutrition. Again, if we'd have known, or if I'd have known then what we know now about nutrition, I was severely underfueling, like day to day, but also in races. You know, I was going out in a 70.3 with some flapjacks stuffed in my top tube and like 4 energy gels in my bottles. You know, in hindsight, I was out of energy halfway through the bike, and I couldn't take gels on the run because I wasn't practicing that. I was feeling sick, and I had a couple of 70.3s that went really horribly. And I think I came away, I went to English Champs in 2018, and I did a 4-hour 16 70.3. That's pre-super shoes on a couple of bits of flapjack. And after only a year of training for it. And I'm still quite proud of that.
Yeah. That's out of the time, though, isn't it?
But I went through the first half of that run in 36 minutes, and I was walking across the finish line. Like I just got it so wrong, so wrong. But it still came out with an all right time. So yeah. Those
and
two.
I think from all the ups and downs, it's about picking out. Yes, you can look at what you can do better, but it's also about picking out what you do well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to give yourself that balance and give yourself some grace, because otherwise it's just like.
It can eat you alive, yeah, like you say. I mean, if the new world record holder can lay there in bed at night, I think I could do more. I could go faster. I could do this different. It's sometimes you've just got to accept. Well, that's all you did do.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Be happy with it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a new
Move
day.
on.
Yeah. And then obviously the C word happened. Obviously COVID happened then, and that put bay to, triathlon across the world, didn't it? It was. I always looked at it. I didn't have any time off during 2020. Like I thought I'm going to stay ready here, and I'm going to try and capitalize. Like I was always thinking, if they say tomorrow triathlon's open again, I want to be on that first start line, and I want to be the one who didn't toss off the summer because it was a great summer.
Yes.
I want to be the one who's ready. So it was. We'd just moved out. We'd had our first daughter. Back end of 2019, so we were negotiating being new parents. We were out in a place called South Elkington, which you'll know, middle of nowhere. And I look at that time as like my Rocky IV camp, in a way.
Yes.
I was doing some stupid stuff, I was out there doing like swim bands and gym work, like pull-ups in my garage and stuff like that. And that was a tough time learning how to. Or still learning how to be a parent now, but becoming a new parent and in hindsight, it was probably a bit of a blessing with the whole triathlon thing that it had all chilled out a bit. I was able to focus on my family really, and sort of learn the ropes, so to speak, with that. Got that out of the way, and then 21, I decided, well, if no one's going to put any races on, I'm going to put a race on. So I'm going to do a homemade race, basically. I'm going to make my own sprint triathlon. I did it with a friend of mine who lives locally. And that honestly, that day was like a breakthrough for me. I can remember that day, like playing so vividly. I swam like 9:30 for a 750 metres. And it was the first time I'd ever run sub 17 minutes 5k off the bike.
Wow.
And I thought, do you know what? No, I'm never not never, but I'm not cut out for this longer distance. And that was when I really started to cultivate this mindset of like the hour of power, like sprint racing for me. And I just found that love again. And that one day, just in Fulstow, running around on my own.
Do you run around Fulstow and biking the big loop?
The 5k was just that 5k square basically near the reservoir.
And then did you do is that 15k that loop that they do the time trial on?
Yeah, it was that course ish, but we'd swum in the river, so we had to sort of adjust the bike course to get out onto that. But yeah, we'd cobbled together a sprint triathlon, and I thought, do you know what, I'm in some pretty decent shape here, and national champs were in September, and I went in June to the same course. Weirdly, they had the same race on in June and in September. September was national champs, and I thought, well, I'm going to go to the one in June. And we were still doing staggered starts then because of COVID. And I was first man in the water. I thought, well, I'm going to learn from, if I can swim that well and do that homemade on my own, I'm just going to do the same thing here. And I went and used it as a recce, really, of the course, and thought, right, if I dial this in now and get as specific as I possibly can, because from June to September I had nothing else on, and my training volume was not high. I was training like 5 hours a week.
Right.
I was not doing a lot.
Yeah.
Young parent.
Yeah.
Still
life
trying to work.
Takes over, doesn't it?
And I thought, what can I do with those 5 hours to get as specific as I possibly can? So, and this is where I come back to looking at the course profile, and I'd recce'd it. I knew where I had to go hard, and I basically made a Zwift workout for myself of the race. split the intervals into what I thought would, 5 minutes hard here above threshold, like I can recover for 30 seconds there, then I need to be at a more even effort. And I went to, I tried to be as efficient as I possibly could with those 5 hours, and ended up winning national champs in my age group in September. On off those 5 hours, I was so happy. Yeah, because I was self-coaching now.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it?
Trying to juggle everything and be my own coach and try and race smarter and train smarter than just be like a bull in a china shop all the time. And it paid off. And to win a national championship then, I was over the moon, like so happy, so happy. And I thought, right, this is it now. I can kick on from here. I can use it as a springboard, really. And then so into the following year, I thought, well, if I can do this self-coached, I can't see the longevity in self-coaching, because I knew that's where I'd gone wrong with 70.3s. Like I would do too much. Yeah. And it sort of was eye-opening to me that if you're smarter with your time, you don't have to be out there training 15 hours a week, thinking you're a pro. You can just dial it back and do the right things at the right time and get something from it. So going into 2022, I made contact with a guy called Steve Lloyd, runs a company called Absolute Tri in Nottingham. Okay. And Steve was gracious enough to say that he would coach me. And I can still remember the phone call I had with him, and I told him I'm training like 5 hours a week, and it just went silent on the other end of the phone. And I think he was thinking, like, I've got my hands full here. Like, there's not a lot I'm going to be able to do with 5 hours a week. But I sort of told him where I was at, and maybe we can stretch that 5 hours. Maybe I can do a bit more. Our daughter's getting a bit older now. I can probably give a bit more of my time. And so started working with Steve. And again, weirdly, went and did. I wanted to do another homemade race.
Because it worked for you the first time.
Yeah, I think this is where I come from with the whole. This is why I like a non-drafting sprint distance race. It's so insular. You need to control your own effort. You need to manage your own energy. You need to find the way that you can get you from A to B. No one.
Well, we're all different, aren't we?
Yeah.
We've all got different physiology. We've all got different strengths and weaknesses, and we're all individual.
Yeah.
So whatever works for you is the thing you need to focus on, isn't it?
Absolutely. And so that day was like another level for me, if you like. I did a pool swim this time, so I did a 400, and I swam 5 minute 400 as part of this race, and I thought, my swim shape is obviously coming back. I'm at a decent enough level, and then I went and ran like 16:40 off the bike that day, and I was thinking, if I can just do this stuff on my own, I need to find a way to translate this into bigger and better races. Yeah. And so that became the sort of aim. The goal. Yeah.
Just because you've mentioned about your swimming, obviously you'd focused on that and you'd got that to the level it's at.
Yeah.
Which is, I've seen you, I've swum in the next lane to you, and it's like it's a sight to behold to see you training. And then you did the same with the running. You got your run up to like whatever you said there, 16 minutes. So the bike element, have you done the same with the bike, or have you not had to?
It had never been in the area that that it needed, because I was in draft like a draft legal scenario, and I'd never been that worried about it. Like, it had always been a strength of mine. Yeah. The only times that my bike had failed me was when I failed me. From back to Chicago, like losing too much weight and losing power and things like that. And two wheels is kind of my comfort zone,
of course.
In a way,
going back with your history, of course.
And so the more technical a bike course is, especially with draft legal, I'm at ease. Like, I'm more comfortable, and that's you asked me about Blenheim earlier, and I said the reason why I love Blenheim is it's uphill, it's downhill, there's cattle grids, it's there's wet leaves on fast descents. It's a course that isn't for everyone, but for me, it's a course that I can maximise to my advantage, and I love that. So with the bikes, never really needed that leap or that singular focus for me. It's just kind of been a tick over thing, a progressive thing.
Yeah.
Which
is great because that's the biggest part of the triathlon, isn't
it? Yeah, it is.
So...
It is, and I look at it two ways. That bike strength can either get you out of a swim problem, or it can put you in a great position for fast running. Yeah. And really that's been a sort of a cornerstone of the way I race now. Is I can rely on that, on my bike strength. It's harder in draft legal racing, but I always look at it that like they've got 10 minutes to bury me.
Yeah.
And they better make sure they bury me because I'm coming.
Yeah.
And whilst I race a lot of younger lads, especially I've raced a bit more elite sort of domestic racing. I race a lot of lads who can swim 2 minutes quicker than me.
Yeah.
But it takes 5 minutes of cycling, and they're gone,
toast,
done for.
Yeah.
And there's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
It's yourself that endurance sport is a real momentum thing, and like I go back to 2014. Like I told myself then, I'm racing forwards. Like I'm never going backwards again. I can't deal with that. So that's just kind of the way I want to race. Like if I wanted to beat me, and I always look at it that way. I think less about how I'm going to beat other people and look at my weaknesses and think, well, if I was going to beat me, how would I do it, or how could I do it? And the answer is I'm going to have to take the race away from me. Mm-hmm. Like someone's going to have to take it away, because I believe, and it's a bit brash to say it, but I believe my bike run is age group wise sort of world class. It's there.
Yeah.
It's good enough. I just need to put that third or the first piece of the puzzle together to sort of unlock it really. And so so 2022, I did that homemade race, went nicely, went and raced Leeds Super Series that year, so an elite race, and that was I really enjoyed that. I'd had a little calf niggle before, like I pulled my calf quite badly, and I'd not run for 2 weeks going into that, which is not ideal in a elite level race, but I went and I enjoyed it, and actually ran okay off little training, and thought, no, I'm doing well here. 2022 we had our second child as well, in October, and so again that year it was a bit of a weird one. I started the year with a homemade race, and I finished it with a homemade race as well, because my plan was to go and race Super Series Grand Final,
right? But
that was like 2 weeks prior to our due date, and I thought, if I'm in Sunderland and I get the call, there's not a lot I can do. So I thought that might be a step too far, so I just made a homemade race again and did it that way.
You could tell you're maturing and growing.
Well, this is
up.
It, yeah.
You know what I mean?
My days of flitting off to Mexico, they're gone. I'm not sipping margaritas anymore. I've got children to look after. Yeah. And it was actually it was the end of that year that I sort of, I came up with this, or I have this weird like obsession, like my Grand Slam, if you like. And I realised that at the end of that year, I was like, well, I've won my local town triathlon. I've won the county triathlon series. I've won, they don't do it anymore, but the East Midlands series. They don't do it again, they don't do it anymore, but I won the Midlands series, which you just had to do one more race to do that. I've now won national championship, and I've finished 7th in the world. I hadn't done a Euro Championships at that point, but I'd finished 7th in Rotterdam. I thought to myself, well, wouldn't it be cool if I could win, like go A to Z, like from my hometown to world champs. If I could win.
And
I thought, I'm not getting greedy. Like I don't want to win 15 world championships and 10 Europeans.
But that's a nice thing. Again, it's individual, and it's a nice thing to have that you want to do. It doesn't matter what anybody else has done, does it? To have that holy grail sort of thing. It's really nice to come up with that idea, isn't it?
And so that was the end of 22, and I thought to myself that, okay, this is it now. This is what I want to do. So going into 23, my plan was, I thought I'll set it out now. At 23, I'll try and win a British championship. I've won a national championship, but not a British one. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do that and go all in on that, I can't really go to a qualification race for an international race in 24. So I had found out, again through sort of reading online, if you win the British Championship, you pre-qualify, you can use it. And I was like, well, this is it then, I'm all in. Yeah. So I'm going to have to tick 2 boxes here in one race. And so my 23 was just surrounded by, I've got to be British champion, to become British champion, but also to qualify for the next goal. And 23 was going really, really well. In July, I was best man for my best mate, who was my best man at my wedding. And then in August, the next month, unfortunately, I lost one of my best mates, one of my closest mates from school. Lost him in a car accident, and like the wheels started to come off, and I just thought to myself, what is this about? What's the point? I was struggling, but I had like 2 weeks before this race in September for the British Championships, and so I spent 2 weeks kind of trying to. I was pulling out sessions. Like I had days where I was down at like the local cricket pitch trying to run sessions. It was, I remember it quite vividly. You know, it's tipping it down the rain, and I'm sort of stood there just looking up at the sky, just in tears, thinking, why am I doing this? And that day I went in September. I went and won the British Championships, and I was there on my own, and I drove home in tears. Literally, it was it was in Shropshire, near Wales, and I drove nearly all the way home in tears. I was just sad, because it didn't. Whilst it meant everything, it didn't mean anything at the same time. And it was a tough year, but also a really good year. And so I managed to do what I wanted to do. And so that from that point, then that's when it really became about back to sort of GB, like age group stuff again for me. Because I felt like, okay, domestically now, you've won one of everything. Like, you don't need to do that anymore. Just go and try, and you can base your years around the big race. They're all big races, but the international races. And so I'd qualified. In doing that, I'd qualified for Torremolinos in 24, which is obviously Spain. It's
hot.
It's closer, but it's hot, and so this was it. I think I was thinking to myself, well, I love Spain. I've spent a lot of time holidaying in Spain. Love the culture, but I know that the heat can be strong, and I'm there thinking to myself, I might have just dug my own grave here. I could be in a world of bother. I could be in another medical tent.
Did you still have that mentality that you're not good in the heat then? Was that what it was?
Well, this was around the time where all of a sudden there seemed to be more resources out there, more knowledge available. Yeah. And I'd sort of gone back to my original ethos. I'd spent these years thinking I know it all, and spent these years sort of retrospectively learning from mistakes. And okay, that's great in some regard, but it takes a long time, and you've already made those mistakes before you learn from them. Whereas reading, and like I said, I've got a stack of books, this eye on my shelf at home that I still go back to. This
era, there's so much. I mean, forget about books. There's so much out there on podcasts and YouTube, and it's just there, isn't it?
It's there to consume. Just there if you're willing to learn. Yeah, and that's where I'd kind of gone back to my attitude. I got more mature with my outlook, and I thought, well, if I'm gonna leave my family for a week, well, nearly a week, and I'm gonna get on an international flight, and I'm gonna pay all this money, I'm gonna make damn sure I've done everything I can. And whilst it wasn't the best prep, I started heat acclimation for the first time. And really through that, whether it was mental, I don't know. I doubt it was. I think it was definitely physical benefits, but I wasn't scared anymore.
And from a even if that was the case, from a mental point of view, you've ticked that box, so you haven't got that doubt.
Exactly.
Which then, if you've got that doubt, it's going to affect your performance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you haven't got that.
As hard as Mexico was, like I said, I wasn't able to push. But it wasn't that I didn't want to.
No.
And I thought, as long as I can go in with that mentality again, as long as I'm dictating my effort, I'm okay. As long as I'm in a level of control, I'm okay. And I had the worst swim of my life. Again, it's like a broken record, honestly. Sea swim, rough day, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I swam like 14 minutes for 750 meters.
I mean, you're a phenomenal swimmer. You know, your pool. But it's a different kettle of fish again, isn't it? Going out in the ocean and swimming against the waves, and you know, rather than a lake, rather than a river, rather than the pool, it's completely different. And it's like everything. If you haven't practiced it and gone out there and actually done it time and time again, there's only one result, isn't there? Really,
there is.
And I'm not saying you didn't do that, but I think you've got to give yourself grace, haven't you, when you look at what you're capable of training and doing.
And it was around that period, and like even still now, I'm no longer my swim training. I'm no longer focused on swimming a fast 400 in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
And I know that my pool ability is good enough, and if I wanted to get even faster, what that's going to take away from bike and run, for a minimal gain, is just not worth it. The piece of the puzzle for me is translating, and I think a lot of people have this problem. They just don't necessarily articulate it. It's translating pool ability into open water. That is my final piece of the puzzle with triathlon. That's what I need to do, and it's coming. But it was around that time that I started to realise that, and I had a great day that day. You know, I realised at that point my bike and run is at the level it needs to be, and I just felt confident in myself now that I found a way around the heat. I felt like I'd beat the heat pretty well. I think I'd run like a 17-ish or low 17 in Spain that day off the bike, and I think I'd gone like third fastest run or something, but not by a lot. You know, I wasn't a long way behind in terms of a run split, and I just felt like, this is coming together. Like my bike run is a weapon now. Yeah, it's just if I'm in the race, the race is mine, sort of thing, and I just needed to start trying to find how I can get myself in the race. I finished 7th that day in Torremolinos, and I came away from that, happy I'd done everything I could. And this is one thing, like, whilst I'm full of self-belief, sometimes not warranted, I'll be the first, because I know how to beat me. I know that if someone's beaten me at a race like that, they've taken it from me, so they deserve a handshake, and I'll be the first to come and shake anyone's hand. But that day I came away from that thinking, well, there's 6 guys out here that deserve to have beaten me, so fair play to them. And I was happy, I was content, and I think that's a bit of maturing as well. Definitely sort of been around the block with that one and spat my dummy out and thrown the toys out the pram enough to know that.
But that's just the mindset that you've got, and it's just, as you say, as you get older you become more mature, and you don't let things bother you as much, and you just get on with it, because you're a dad at the end of the day. And
you know what, I've got responsibility to show my girls what it looks like, not only what it looks like to win, but what it looks like to lose, and that is more important sometimes.
And it's amazing the you don't think at the time that they actually pay much attention to what you're doing, because I never did. And it's only when you get older and your kids are like in the 30s and you think, they were paying attention, or they were, and they become the kids that they are, or men that they are in my case. So you can't ever discount that, because that's massive. And I've had loads of people on here with the same thing, and they don't think they are at the moment, but they are so inspiring to the kids, and it's such a role model, and it is really important that we acknowledge that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take that for granted. I mean, going back to when I first started in sport, my dad was my hero. He was a professional motorbike racer. That's what I wanted to be. And I've no doubt that the way I conduct myself, in family, in business, in sport, is a product of the lessons I've learned from my dad. And whilst I wasn't there to watch his racing career, he instilled a lot of work ethic and an ethos in me that I still carry with me today. So I totally agree. And so 24 sort of came to a finish, and I was thinking maybe I've bit off more than I can chew with this Grand Slam idea. Like, it's not going to be a walk in the park. So the following year I thought, because back in the day you used to be able to qualify for world champs the same year as the world champs, and Euros you used to have to qualify a year in advance, but then they seem to scrap all that. And now everything's a year in advance, isn't it? And I realised that, actually, whilst I've been to 25 was also in Australia, wasn't it? 25 Worlds. And I thought, that is too far. That's too much. Again, I'd love to race in front of my other family. One day, without doubt, one day. I thought, I'll use 25 then to hopefully qualify for a Euro Champs in 26, because I'd found out that was in Spain. I thought, that's great. That's local. I've not done a Euro Champs.
I was going to say, through all that, you've not. And why was that then? Why did you never fancy?
Because I wanted to be world champion. It was that egotistical that I thought, I'd rather be a world champion than a European champion. And so if I'm going to chuck, thousands,
time and effort,
thousands
and
of quid,
money,
and I've got to pick one, I'll take the biggest and the best prize.
Makes sense.
It didn't happen
yet.
So
and that's the beauty of multisport and an age group is like, how old are you now?
39 this year.
39, and there's blokes still like racing in their 80s. So you just have to keep plodding away, ticking off the years, and it'll happen. I can guarantee it'll happen eventually.
The Grand Slam's on.
If you stick at it long enough.
So funnily enough, there was a qualifying race at Blenheim,
right?
And I thought, I'm not missing that opportunity. I can remember all the memories of that elite race and racing in inverted commas Alistair Brownlee that day, and I thought, do you know what? No, if I'm actually think about this smartly, Blenheim's a great course for me because the swim is flat. It's unexposed to. That might sound silly. The swim's flat. It's also wet, but it's not exposed to wind conditions, so it's a very still body of water. It has a lane rope,
right,
style mark of the course as well that runs all the way up to the first buoy. So it's a straight shot. There's no going around a load of buoys until you're probably, I don't know, maybe 500 or 600 meters in. So everyone gets a fair game, fair start. There's no jostling around the buoys. And I thought that's good for me.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about Blenheim is you get out and it's like a 400, 500 meter run uphill.
Right.
You've got a minute to 2 minutes, depending on how quick you are, of your heart pumping out your chest before you even get to touch your bike. Before you even get to take your wetsuit off. And I thought, this is great for me. It's perfect swim conditions for me. It's as much like a pool as it gets. Then it's a run for a couple of minutes to make up any deficit. Then we're out onto a tricky technical bike where, draft legal or not, it's hard. It's uphill, it's down dale, it's round bend. But for me, I cherry picked that race because I thought that parkour doesn't get any better than that. The run's a little bit long. It's not a flat run. It's hard. I thought this will do me. I can make this work. And I swam pretty well. There was two lads out in front, but I absolutely just nailed that run just as hard as I could up to transition and managed to catch on the first climb of the bike. And all of a sudden I found myself in a position I'd never been in. I'm at the front of a race and I'm in a breakaway, and I thought, this is perfect. This is what I wanted. Sadly, it was June and I'd done no run sessions, so I knew that I had no run fitness. I couldn't hurt them in that, and it just so happened it was a cool day because that day, like I say, three of us broke away. None of us knew each other at the time, but we were the 2024, 2025. We were the 2023, 2024 and 2025 British champions.
All right.
So two of us we were the last two British champions, and there was another lad there, Michael, who ended up winning that day. and so we ended up with one British title apiece.
Wow.
I finished second, did everything I could, but ultimately, like, my run legs I wasn't in shape yet.
Yeah.
Because I was planning for something else towards the end of the year. And I got myself to a point training wise with Steve where we know what gets me in run shape. I just need to tick over and be consistent for basically maybe 10 months of the year. But those last 8 weeks, we've got a bit of a system where don't do too much intensity, but the right amount of intensity in the right sort of sessions, and I can get myself in pretty good run shape. Which I did off the back of that, and went to a duathlon. I went to National Duathlon Champs at Thruxton, and thought to myself, I'm going to give this another bash. I'm sick of just moaning about my swim. I thought, I can't be this guy who just bangs my head against this brick wall of swimming, and all I do is moan and say, oh, if there wasn't a swim, I'd have done this, I would have done that. Well, you didn't. So either stop moaning or go and do a duathlon. So I went to Thruxton and ended up winning the National Duathlon Champs.
Playing to your strengths is what I always say, and that's the beauty of multisport. I always bang on about this, that we've got 4 disciplines, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I know, and people say it's like, well, it's not as romantic as the triathlon. Triathlon's where it was all born, and actually duathlon was only what triathletes did in the winter. But now it's like, and I know it's like not on the TV or anything, but now it's a thing of itself, like aquabike and aquathon. They are for people who have got that ability, like you quite clearly have on the bike and the run. So how did it go? You won it, but how was the experience?
I loved it, and I think the main thing I loved about that is, like, everything that we've spoken about through triathlon today. There is an element of consistency there. It's always the same story with me. And like I said, there's one way for me to win and there's one way for me to lose, and it all hinges on that swim. And I think people know that. Anyone who has raced me or anyone who's going to race me, there's no secret, like, to what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to do it one way, and it's unfortunately it's a hard way.
Yeah. With
duathlon, nobody knows me particularly, because I've never done one apart from that elite race that day at Bedford Autodrome, and God, that was a tough day. And like I said, I swore I'd never do another one, but here I am. And I really liked that. I could sort of slip under the radar, and again, as time's gone on, I've got sort of more and more like tactical with it. I was looking at that, and it's not a traditional Thruxton because of the length of the circuit. It's not a traditional format for a duathlon either. It's a shorter run at the start, but a longer run at the end. And I thought, well, this is just teed up for me, because these duathlon lads, they're going to run a 15-minute 5K without breaking sweat. That's a step too far for me at the minute. But it's not 5K. It's 3.8 or something, basically. So I thought, well, they can only maximise 3.8k. They haven't got 5k to bury me. And then if I ride smart enough, all of a sudden they're used to sprinting 2.5k. Well, it's another 3.8k at Thruxton, or it was that day. And I thought, well, running off the bike is different. They're not running 15 minutes off the bike. And if I make that bike hard enough, we're back on we're in my world once we get out of that first run. So I sort of went with the race for the first 2.5k, and sure enough, clicked through 2.5k on 15-minute 5k pace, and thought, this is going to go one or two ways here. I might not make the second run. And it did start to break up sort of down the back straight at Thruxton. It was into a headwind that day, quite a strong headwind, and that naturally started to break it up. And I was running quite slow towards the end of it, but what I was doing was just playing it smart and sitting in the group that I'd found myself in. I'd been brave for those first 2.5k, like really brave, and I just had to consolidate and do what I could to get on the bike, and like I say, get on my terms. Got on the bike, got in a fairly decent working pack, and there were 3 lads that day who'd gone completely off the front and disappeared, and you know what, they were just better on the day. Fair play to them. but there was a second pack, and my pack caught to those, and we came into T2. I think there was about 10 or 15 of us, and I thought, no, do you know what? They're having it. Like I'm not lying down here. They're going to have it now. And so I put a bit of a dig in coming into T2 and made sure I was first boots on the ground. Like I was into T2 before anyone. Like, this is my space. I know where I'm going. I'm going to do what I do well. Got my trainers on and just legged it. Literally just legged it, scared, thinking they're gonna have to chase me down. This is gonna get messy. Yeah. And I just kept thinking to myself, just get onto that back straight where that headwind is. Because at that point, if there's no one on your shoulder, it's as hard for them as it is for you. Yeah. And so I just made it a rough time for myself until I got into that headwind. And yeah, no one caught me, thankfully. And yeah, so became a national duathlon champ as well that day. And thought to myself again, like my running seems to be in a spot now, and this is when Steve and I were starting to realise that it wasn't always about doing these stupid sessions and all like lots of high intensity work. If we just timed it right, I'm 40 years old next year. I need to just time things a bit smarter. If we just time it right, I can get a lot out of myself. And so, yeah, with Blenheim, I'd qualified for 2026 European champs then. And
at that point, when you were talking about your training, how many hours were you doing a week for that?
I mean, to be honest, we tend to not really look at hours.
Yeah. Just sessions then, is it?
Yeah.
Just looking at various sessions.
And I'm in a nice sort of rhythm now where generally I would say I have 3 swims, 3 bikes, 3 runs. Yeah. One of those in each discipline is easy. One of those in each discipline is sort of medium. And one of those in each discipline is hard. Yeah. And it is simple. As simple as that. And it's just, yeah, of course, we periodise, and we hard in January looks very different to hard in September. The hardest I might do until I need to, like those sort of 8 weeks before a main goal, is a tempo run. And if you're doing tempo properly, yes, it's hard and yes, it's challenging, but you can train tomorrow. You can train later that day if you want to. It's not breaking you. But then hard before my last hard run session before Euro champs this year was pretty standard session, like for a 5k runner, 6 by a k with 90 seconds. Yeah. Now that's a different level of hard to a tempo run, and that was the last session before I went to Spain, and that's when I knew, like,
you were ready.
Yeah, I averaged 305 for those 6Ks, and I thought, it just worked. Yeah. You're chatting with Steve before I went. It was like we've got this right. There was just this feeling like we've got this right. We've timed it right. We've peaked at the right time, and it was something that I'm totally not used to because I've been racing world champs or British champs. Generally, my peak every year is September. Yeah. By the time June comes around, I'm not even done a run session yet. Normally, I might be fit aerobically, but I've got no leg speed in me. Yeah. And here I am doing that in June, and it felt a bit alien to me. But I went in with a new level of confidence. It wasn't, whereas previously I'd looked at championship races and said, I'm in the shape to win, and I sort of believed I could win. Or I believed in myself. I think what I'd always had was self-belief. It wasn't a belief in the performance, so to speak. This year it was like I believed I could win, and that was a different change. It was just a shift. And yeah, everything just went right, really. I went and I won it. My age group, I had fastest swim, fastest T1, fastest T2, fastest run.
Wow.
And the reason I didn't have the fastest bike is because I think I'd put a bit of time into the rest of the age group out of swim and transition, and was sort of in a no man's land.
You were on your own.
And so they had to catch up, and then we all came in together.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So
did you do that deliberately then? Wait for them to catch you, or did they just catch you organically?
No. So, and here's my big gripe nowadays with these championship races and World Triathlon. If you're listening, stop group. And do you know what? Actually, this probably divides a lot of people in the UK at the minute, because we seem to have this sort of trend. I know David Pearson fairly well from in and around the circuit, obviously age group news, and he's done a phenomenal job with what he's doing there. Like, kudos, David, because I'm sure there's a lot of hard work goes into all that.
And we'll just plug his My Tri ranking as well.
My Tri ranking, yeah, brilliant. It's do you know what he's doing for an amateur sport is phenomenal. Yeah. It's great. It's and so same for you, Richard, as well with podcasting. I didn't realise YouTube channel, etc. It's all great, and it lets people. I spoke earlier about like this dream of pretending you're a professional athlete. This is as damn close as it gets.
Absolutely. And you've got to remember that it's niche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're all geeks at the end of the day. Yeah. We all look at each other's flipping park run splits, and we all like to think we know ways to beat each other, and we're all geeks and we enjoy it. So no credit to him. But I was wait. What were we talking about?
You were going to talk about the gripe you had with British.
The gripe I've got. Yeah, thanks. Back on my soapbox. I'm getting old now. Stop putting mass age groups in one wave, because that day I was racing everyone under the age of 40. Such a stupid idea, because I'll tell you why. You could get a 20-year-old kid who swims like the clappers, and he drags someone who's 40 years old up the road, and I'm speaking from to my sort of strengths, but I've got no idea that 40-year-old guy's up the road. Yeah. Whereas if we're all in the
age group
35 to 39 age group wave, and someone swims away from me, and credit to you. Yeah. You go up the road, but you do it under your own steam.
Yes, yeah.
And I cannot bear it. Cannot bear it, because it adds a layer of stress thinking about who am I racing. Yeah.
Well, it's almost not coaching, but helping. Yeah, helping somebody else, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know it's not deliberate. I know, that's the dynamics of it, and yes, we want larger waves and larger fields. But this is the European Championships, or this is the World Championships. For God's sake, just even if it's a 5-minute break, just give it a break and let it evolve as it should do.
A pure race for the age group.
Do you know what? If you're going to do it the way that you keep doing it, just hand out 3 medals for everyone under 40 then. Yeah. And do you know what? You'll lose half your demographic because all the young lads will be winning. And I've got no problem with that. But
then it's not age group, is it?
Exactly. If we're going to call ourselves age groupers and we're going to split ourselves into age categories...
That's just like somebody who's won the race or whatever, isn't it?
Let us race in age categories. Like, at the end of the day, I'm here for a tear-up. Like, I want to look those guys in the eye. I want to run shoulder to shoulder and know that if I'm in front of someone that it matters, Yeah. I don't want to be...
On your own merit as well, not...
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So I'm off my soapbox now.
No, it's disappointing, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. So it is, but that's the way it was that day.
Yeah.
And I happen to be on the right side of it. The lads who I beat that day might be sat here thinking, well, you got towed up the road in our race, and that's why you beat us out the swim. Well, they might be right. I don't know. I can't answer that.
I suppose British Tri might turn around and say, well, it balances itself out in the end.
Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
Well, I get from a pure racing point of view, I totally get your point.
Yeah. And so what had happened that day, I didn't know I'd had the fastest swim in my age group, because you know what a swim's like, it's flipping chaos. Yeah. I just swam as hard as I could. And I was in a small pack. We weren't really cohesive. There was only 3 of us. But I could see the lead group up the road. And it was an out and back course, so I tried to drive R-Pack on to the turnaround, I thought, I'm going to go all in to the turnaround. And if I'm not there, I'm not there. Then it's time to start thinking about conserving energy. And we didn't make it. But at the turnaround, flipping David Pearson's there shouting, "Oi, Ross! Oi, oi, oi!" And he's dragged an entire pack up to me with all the lads in my age group. So thanks for that, David. So then we all sort of rode it in together from the turnaround, the last half of the bike. And then it became a foot race. And again, like Thruxton, I thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna get in and get out, and I'm gonna do what I do well. And was fortunate enough on the day to run away from second and third and stretch the gap. And
I don't think it's fortunate, is it? You've put the hard work in and you've done it, and you get your just rewards in the end when you're consistent and you get.
Yeah, I like to think that there was a lot in that. It wasn't just 8 weeks of run sessions.
Not just
it wasn't
the race,
just that 1 year.
It's all that, isn't it?
Yeah.
All that experience that you've gone through since you started back in 2012. That's it. It all builds to that point. And it's the same when you watch the elites. That very few just come straight into it, and they've like been working for years, and it's the same. It's the same thing. Yeah. So all that hard work just pays off. So.
And that was it. That was was Euros done and dusted, and that's it. There's one left on the list now. One more box to tick.
Yeah. So what you aiming for?
Hamburg.
You're going to go for Hamburg.
World Champs next September. It's going to be.
And you've queued for that already?
Yes, I did that this year. I went to Home Pierpont again.
Yeah.
That was an interesting day out. I was flat and disappointed with that. And I was talking to some friends afterwards, and they were like, "Well, did you like taper for it? Were you well rested or anything?" And I sort of looked back on through my training, and I was in the middle of heat prep for Tarragona.
Yes,
I was in the thick of those run sessions that we're talking about for Tarragona, and I was at probably peak intensity, peak volume, and I was heat training as well in the build up for that. And I was always gonna feel flat. And that's just how it is.
But at least you have a reason for feeling like that, haven't you? And going into it, you should have expected it, I suppose.
I knew coming out of that day that, okay, the work's done.
Yeah.
I need to freshen up now. I really felt like if I can freshen up from here and get there safely, no injuries, no niggles, nothing like that, then it's on. And
cool.
We got there.
Yeah, excellent. Well done. Well done with it all, and be interested to see how Hamburg comes on, doesn't it?
It's gonna be a party. I love Hamburg.
Yeah,
and we spoke earlier, didn't we?
Yeah,
When I saw that was gonna be the grand final for 27, I thought this is gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love watching the mixed team relay at Hamburg.
I think I'm not a great swimmer, but I think the swim through the tunnel and back round the other side and out, and then just because you're in the city centre itself, it's just like. It's awesome. It's just such a good.
Yeah.
I love city centre racing. There's not much beats it.
No, I agree. I
just think it's.
If only we could do that properly with London again.
Yeah.
And not race.
Race
around a car park.
Me and Mrs. C were just talking about that yesterday when we were watching. We were watching the T100, and we were talking about iconic places, and London could be such an iconic place if they raced it in the right place London.
It'd be so good for the sport domestically as well to have that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's politics at play.
Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? So that brings us to the quick fire questions.
Here we go.
And the first one, as always, is what's your favourite bit of kit?
Functional or
jazzy? Your favourite bit of kit.
Can I have two?
You can have two.
All right. For jazzy, it's my Union Jack helmet.
Right.
Still get comments about it to this day. Got Aero Road helmet with the Union Jack on.
Nice.
Always wear it for international competition. And I get a lot of people commenting, I like that.
Did you get it done specially?
No,
it
was a British Cycling special edition one, laser.
Oh yes, made. I do remember it. Yeah. Nice.
I like that.
That's cool.
Nice touch.
I meant to ask you what bike you ride. What bikes are you riding now? Say if you're a road bike.
I'm a Scott man, so I've got I rode a Giant Propel for a long time, but I newly got I converted to disc brakes and got a Scott foil.
Right, SRAM or Shimano?
SRAM, converted to SRAM as well. Do you know what? I would have cut me open. I'd have bled Shimano until I rode SRAM, and I thought, oh, I quite like this.
Yeah. I'm with you. Although my old mechanical is Shimano, and it's absolutely amazing. Never missed a beat.
Well, my TT bike, which is a Scott Plasma, is Shimano mechanical gears, rim brakes. Yeah. So I've got a bit of both. A bit modern, a bit old school.
Yeah. Cool.
My functional bit of kit is my treadmill.
Right.
Now, like it or lump it, people hate it, the treadmill, whatever you want to call it. But when you've got a young family and you're trying to fit,
time saving, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other big thing as well for me is injury prevention.
Yeah.
Like not pounding pavement.
Yeah.
Even all my run sessions I do on grass.
Yeah.
I'm try and look after myself
I need to take that on board. Grass.
Well, I live just down the road from the local cricket ground.
Yeah.
And it's meticulously maintained.
Yeah.
And some days
is that opposite the track?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I've got to make a mental note of that. Then, if I ever get back to running, I've got a
treadmill.
Treadmill and grass.
I do my easy running on it, my tempo runs on it. Even if the sun's shining, I'll choose the treadmill. Yeah, just easier. I can watch your YouTube channel then, Richard.
I wouldn't. It's embarrassing. So where are you currently? Like, what's a week of training like now?
Now at the minute, it's a little bit less intense than the build up to
obviously
than Euros was, but it's still maintain that sort of, if I can, 3 swims, 3 bikes, 3 runs.
Still doing it.
Easy, medium, hard. I don't want to. I could tell you sessions and stuff.
It's just like basically an overview of what you're doing.
I had a chat with some lads in Spain, and I sort of coined myself the sort of British Lionel Sanders in a way. I'm a bit weird in that all my cycling is indoors.
Yes.
I got hit by a car a few years.
I remember, years back. And did that just stop you going out then completely?
It had a big part of it, but then when kids came along as well, we talk about time efficiency.
Yeah.
So all my cycling is indoors unless I'm racing, or unless it's something really specific I'm trying to sort of prep for. Nearly all my running, unless it's a run session, it's all indoors on my treadmill. Obviously, I don't have a pool. I'm not granted that luxury. That's the best.
Not going to let you have one.
If I get a swim spa, Richard, I'll never have to leave home.
We got the jacuzzi.
Have you? Yeah. And is it good?
Oh, I love it. We love it.
Is it like normal swimming?
Oh, we haven't got a swim.
Oh, it's not a swim. No, just a jacuzzi.
Just a jacuzzi.
Oh, that sounds fun as well.
But we were looking when we were getting that one to get a swimming one, but the garden's just not big enough to ground it.
You just have to drink beers.
We have got a jacuzzi. I don't drink.
Oh, don't you?
No, I don't.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I definitely do.
But it's well, each to their own. That's another thing you can think of when you get older, when you get to my age.
Yeah.
But the jacuzzi's lovely. But you need to get sorted out with that. Get yourself a swim spa. They're supposed to be really good.
Oh, there you go.
But they're not cheap, are they?
Yeah, no, they're definitely not. And to be honest, the maintenance and probably the energy bills, I sound like an old man, I know, but I'd rather
and the noise as well.
I'd rather swim where I swim, to be honest. And then alongside the sessions, I don't do any strength and conditioning, but I do like daily mobility, stretching.
Right.
And my wife constantly finds me on our stairs doing calf lowering exercises. Yeah. I've had enough problems with calves and Achilles over the years. That is the one thing that it's like magic for me for some reason. Calf lowers with body weight, so no additional weight, just seems to add a sort of level of robustness in my lower limbs that protects me.
Well, I reckon I've seen this a couple of times. I reckon that the calf's the second heart.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't really gone into any detail in that, but they say that's where everything functions from, well as your ticker.
There's no worse for anyone who's ever pulled a calf. That when I say the word pop, you know what I mean. There is no worse feeling. It's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible and debilitating, isn't it? It just stops pretty much everything. What's the best bit of advice you've been given?
Nick Dunn used to always say to me, "Do your homework." And I that has stayed with me for all of it, every race. I will always read a race guide.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to chuck my money away and take a wrong turn somewhere. I will always if I'm travelling away to somewhere, I'll be on Google Maps going up and down the flipping streets if I need to see what it looks like in real time. So I've got half an idea where I'm going when I get there. Picking courses, playing to your strengths, understanding what the demands of those courses are. Like I go back to that year I won a national championship off 5 hours a week. Yeah. That was doing my homework. Yeah. Went and did the race a few months before, recce'd the course, understood the demands, coached myself to get there. Do your homework, Nick done.
It works.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect. And then finally, your shorter and your longer term goals. Well, we know that you've got the world champs, haven't you? So that's your shorter one, I guess.
Short term goal, become world champion.
Yeah.
Finish my Grand Slam.
Yeah. Long
term, I'd love to do an Ironman.
Yeah.
I am sick of
Any particular one, or just to do one?
I couldn't care less. Do you know what it is? I'm sick of telling people I do triathlon and they go, "Have you done an Ironman?"
Yeah. But that's standard, isn't it? Really, it is though, isn't it? Oh, have you done an Ironman? In fact, no, I haven't even done a 70.3, mate.
I mean, I've won a European Championship, but I haven't done an Ironman. Oh well, never mind.
So you're not a proper triathlete.
No, exactly. I mean, it's the one distance, taking out the silly distances like the double Ironman or whatever. Yeah. It's the one distance that I need to do. I haven't done yet, but I'll be completing that day, not competing. Yeah.
Just to say you've done it. Just tick the box.
That's right.
They've done was the Leeds Ironman yesterday.
Was that yesterday?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
And there was a few from our club. Obviously, there was no swim.
The swim got cancelled, yes. Yeah. That's such a...
it's awful, isn't it? It's horrible for them.
All the time and effort that's gone into that. Just, and imagine, there's one thing worse, if someone asks you if you've done an Ironman, you say no. But if someone asks you if you've done an Ironman, you say yeah, but I didn't do the swim.
Yeah, well, you haven't done an Ironman,
exactly. Yeah.
But it's just
I feel for those people.
Heartbreaking, really is. So, that was yesterday.
That's a shame, but that is the state of play in the UK at the minute with open water and the heat ravaging.
Well, we're doing the relays. Well, I'm not now, but we're supposed to be doing the relays. The teams, we've got 3 teams in, and that's been cancelled there. The swim on that's been cancelled. So it's a duathlon.
I was lucky because I raced at Home Pierpont in May this year.
Yeah.
They were treating it for algae that week, and they just managed to pull it in.
Yeah. Well, they haven't now. Whatever they were doing hasn't.
I don't think the weather's helping the sun.
No, it hasn't. I mean, it's down to the weather, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's just so hot. Well, thank you ever so much for spending your time.
Thank you,
chatting.
Mate.
It's been a blast from the past, and it's been great to hear your story and find out what you've been doing over the years. Like we said, we do bump into each other every now and then, but I had no clue that you'd gone through all that.
Well, let's bump into each other in Hamburg next year.
That'd be lovely. Well, I don't know. Swimming's my Achilles heel, and I am putting the work in, but I just never seem to get any faster.
You're preaching to the choir, mate.
Unlike you, who's actually cracked it, I just.
Oh no, I'm not cracked any of this.
Oh, you have with your speed and everything else that you've got. You've done it, but I am focusing on biking and swimming now. The running's took a backstreet, so hopefully fingers crossed, I might be able to get there.
The Steins are on you then in Hamburg.
Yes, I shall. If we get there, I shall. I'll buy you one.
It's going to be one not to miss, I think. So
I think so. Well, I might be watching it on the telly, but who knows? Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's it. We're done. So
thanks for having me, mate.
Oh no, it's been great, bloody. And that brings us to the end of another episode. A huge thank you once again to Ross for coming on and joining me and sharing his fantastic story behind becoming the GB Age Group European Sprint Champion. It's been brilliant for me hearing about his hard work and his dedication and that mindset that goes into racing at his level. So if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, follow and leave us a review, because that really does help with the algorithm to get it out to more like-minded people. And if you could just share it with someone who loves triathlon as much as we do, that would be massive. Please do check out the other episodes, and please do check out our 1001 triathlon tips that you can find on Amazon. And if you're a Kindle user, you'll probably get it for free. And if you do check it out, please again leave us a comment or a review, and that again does help us get it out to more like-minded people. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you when we get more guests for the next one. I can't promise it's going to be a fortnight. I can't I'm still waiting for guests to come on. So as soon as I get the guests, as soon as I get them recorded, I'll get them out. But yeah, thanks once again for listening, and don't forget, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.